What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Pincade. I am been really busy lately. Spent some time in Ohio. Had to take a class for work, so I haven't really been doing much lately on any projects. But before I left, um, I did do a lot of tuning to this one table hot tip, and I figured I'd make a video on it really quick because it really required quite a bit of touching to get it to kind of play the right way. If you're not familiar with hot tip, it's quite common to see it on Papa tournaments. If you're not familiar with Papa, I suggest you go over to papa.org and check it out. There's tons of tutorials on how to play machines, how to do some pinball repair for real machines. They host two of the best tournaments, every year in Pittsburgh. And Hot Tip is one of those machines that I see them kind of put into the tournament banks quite a bit. So when I went down to Pinburg this year, I didn't get it in one of. Actually, I did get it in one of my banks, and I was kind of like, wow, I've seen them put this thing on TV before, and never went and bothered to download it and get it working, and now here it is in one of my division banks, and I have to play it, and I have no idea how to really play it. So when I came back, I said, okay, I'm gonna pretty much install as many Pinburg type machines I could find and get them running. So lo and behold, here we are, and I downloaded this hot tip. The problem with this hot tip was that it looked great. Don't get me wrong, the graphics was there, but it needed a lot of like little minor tinkering type things. And I don't know who exactly made this. I don't remember. It came off VP forums though, and I don't know how many there is. I don't want to really try and even pull it up, but let's let's look at it really quick. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn on my backglass so I can actually see, and let's get an idea of what's wrong with this table. So, like I said, great looking table. It's a solid state. It's a Williams game. It's kind of fun. The first thing is I'm pulling my analog plunger, and it doesn't work. Only my digital switch is working. So that's a problem right there. And it's not even like it's an invisible thing. Even when I'm pulling the plunger, it still doesn't work. The second thing is that the flippers are extremely high angled. I mean, if you look at them, they're like almost at like a 90 degree from that rail. So that, these are really high. The other thing is when I plunge it, you see how it just bounced off that gate and went like pretty much dead. Most games that have like that arch in the middle there, the ball tends to travel back and forth left and right before it tries to make its way down that center. And if you're lucky, sometimes it'll hit that scoop, or sometimes it'll go. Most of the time, it probably goes around it, right? But yeah, look how close these flippers are. You can't post. I mean, it's like almost impossible to post pass it. The flipper is also extremely powerful. I don't know if you saw that shot. It was like super strong. Now, also, since the flippers are angled that high, all of the physics of the game is kind of misaligned. So all the shots are not going to feel right because of the angling. Now, I'm going to try and get it back up there, but it's going to be extremely difficult for me to do such. So, you know what? I'm just going to drain it. So now, the next thing I want you to watch is not only how it doesn't bounce off of that gate and it kind of just goes limp and dies, but I also want you to watch the kick out if it does land into that up kicker. So the kick out sends it to the left of the pop bumper, which I don't know if that's normal play or not, but I know the one that I was playing, and the one I was playing in Pinburg, it sent it right to the pop bumper. I mean, it sent it straight down. And you can see the hot tip that I was playing if you look up sorry, I hit the mute button on the mic. If you look up the Pinburg finals for A division of this year, you'll see the exact machine that I was playing. And I'm probably actually going to pull that up actually so you guys could see, what this should really look like, because this is not it. Also, the for a solid state, the rubbers on the flipper seem quite a bit dead. So I'm just going to stop that right there. I'm not going to go crazy with trying to point out, let's just look at those couple of things. And I'm going to try and remember exactly what I changed and fixed. And I may have to consult with my actual backup one. See, this dash old here is actually the one I really use. And this is one I downloaded to demonstrate. So, of course, all this stuff was kind of explained in previous videos. So if you don't know what I'm doing in this editor right now, it's probably advised that you stop and go check out one of those videos on how to tune tables and stuff, because I'm kind of gonna just go right to the stuff, right? So the first thing I want to do is I want to fix this gate. So if you notice, there's two black lines here. That's the gate right there, and this is a primitive of the gate. I don't really want to adjust that one. I know this is the one that we are hitting when we launch the ball. So that's gate 3. And this one gives me a little trouble trying to figure out where it, and that's gate 2. Okay, so we're adjusting 2 and 3. And I just want to restart the table here so that nothing shifted when I was clicking, things like that. I'll usually do a preliminary check like that just to get an idea of what items I'm going to change before I change them. And then I'll back out just in case I moved anything. So I need 2 and 3. I kind of want these to be the same, which is why I'm picking both of them. So as you see, 2 and 3 is actually selected there. And I'm going to go down to physics. And the only thing I really need to do is change the elasticity here. And I think I put this at like a 0.55. Alright, so I'm just going to leave that at 0.55 because I believe that's what I did, was just added some elasticity, which will just make it bounce a little bit, right? We don't need to mess with the functionality of the gate swinging open or where it's positioned. All that stuff is good. It's just not bouncy enough. So the next thing is, I don't want to get into the flippers because the flippers are a lot. Let's try and fix this plunger really quick. So I know it's already called plunger, and I'm using, like I said, a mechanical plunger or an analog plunger. So in this case, the only thing I need to do is check this. But what I do want to do is I want to change this pull speed to 1, and change this release speed to 110, and put this park position to 0. So what the pull speed does is how fast does the image change when I pull the plunger back, right? I should have probably left it at default so you can see it, but I'm trying to do this video quick, right? So 1 will make it look more like a natural pull. When you pull it back, it'll slowly go back with how far you're pulling it. If you set this value very high, as soon as you pull the plunger just a little bit, it'll go all the way to the end. Alright, so I put it at 1. And release speed is kind of like is like the reverse of that, right? As soon as you let go of the plunger, how quick does it go back into the starting position? You want that to be faster. You don't want it to be like, all right, let go of the plunger, and like 30 seconds later, the plunger goes back into the position, the ball's already in play, right? So you want that to be quicker. The length, I don't remember if I need to change this. We're going to just leave that as is for now. The strength, the same thing. The breakover velocity, I think I finally figured out exactly what this does the other day. sometimes with plungers, with the analog ones, it looks like a lag, like a stuttering, and it actually hits the ball too. So like you'll pull the plunger back a little bit, you're not moving it, but the plunger image is kind of like jerking, up and forward and backwards, and as it's moving quickly like that and having this sporadic behavior, it's actually touching the ball, sometimes even launching your ball. Add some breakover velocity to it. If it actually happened to me on another table and it actually fixed it. I've been using setting 10 for now on that. So let's just see if those couple things was fixed. All right. So, in park position, I forgot to mention that I set it to 0. What it does is it makes sure that the plunger for an analog plunger, when you start the table, you don't have to pull it to make it reset to the actual 0 position. As soon as you start the table, it's already at 0 position. Why you would want it at a different position and then have to pull the plunger or something, I don't know why that's a setting, but it is. So right now, since I changed it to 0, when I initially pull my plunger and then I let go, it's going to end up in the same spot. Now, of course, this one, the plunger doesn't look right? It's short. Doesn't matter if it's a digital switch that I'm touching or my actual analog plunger. The other thing I don't like is that the ball is all the way down into the plunger lane, and it kind of sinks in a little bit more. Now you'll get a little bit of that jerkiness. See right there? That's kind of normal. It happens. It has to do with the digitizer that's monitoring the rod. It's fairly operating fairly well. All right. So as you saw, it did have a little bit of a bounce. So I'm going to purposely drain it. Let's plunge it again harder this time. So it's got a little bit of bounce, but it's not doing it the way I want it to. So we're gonna add more bounciness to that. So I should actually go back to that plunger because I want to fix something there too. It didn't feel like it had enough power, so I'm going to turn the power up a little bit to 90. Breakover velocity, I'm going to change that up to like 15. I'm going to see if that stops that stutter that we were seeing at the end. I don't really know. It's something that I just stumbled upon the other day. So anyway, we're going to select gate 2 and 3. We're going to go back into physics. And let's make it like a .70. Okay, let's load it up again. Oh, I need to coin up a little bit. I still haven't put this on free play. So it's a little bit better. That's a little bit better on how it should bounce. Well, let's just drain it. Let's see it again. So I'm not really getting the right plunge there. So let's fix this plunger problem. Let's get this plunger problem done because I don't want it impacting something else as we're trying to fix that, which is what it's kind of doing right now. So I'm going to magnify this area a little bit so I could see it better. So now we're going to mess with this stroke length, and we're going to enlarge this. I think I'm probably going to enlarge that quite a bit more. And the best way to do this, I'm actually going to save this for now, because I have a feeling doing constant changes here is going to actually make VP crash. So we're just going to do something like really, and I should have just used the down arrow to move that, but I didn't. So let's see how far this has gone. Okay, so now the tip is like all the way out there. All right, because you can't always go by the image. Because if you look at this, it looks like the box ends here, but obviously, like, this is some of the tip. So we're gonna just bring it down a little bit. Let's see what happens now. So it looks like the tip is a little bit better. The stutter kind of looks like it's going away. I don't know if that's from the angle that I'm pulling it in. Yeah, it's looking kind of stable. Okay, so now this box right here, not that box, not that box, and this is what I'm talking about with selecting things. I think it's one of these walls, 68 maybe. Okay, wall 68. Now this one has, first off, this wall is like, I don't know, it's built kind of crazy. We don't need this weird obtuse long thing. This arrow right here shows exactly where the ball eject is. So right here, I don't know if you can see that switch right there. There's a switch right here, an up kicker switch, and this is the arrow representing which way it's kicking out into the shooter lane. And then all the way down here is the block that would stop the ball from going into the shooter lane. Since there's multiple stuff in the way here, we're gonna right click that wall 68 again. And what I'm trying to do is I'm actually going to do it this way. So now that I know it's wall 68, trying to figure out how do we get this to go there is a way to send this guy all the way to the front. Bear with me for a second, guys, because I haven't done this in a while, because I usually try not to do this. Okay, here's what's going to happen. I'm just going to right click it. I'm going to select wall 68 and I'm going to move it out, because I'm getting, I hate that there's no layering in VP9, that I can turn certain sections off. I mean, there is to an extent, but most people don't use it. So now that it's off to the side, I can work on it. I don't have to worry about, accidentally hitting something else. And this is one of these situations because this one has these I forgot what they call them. They're like access points that you're gonna move around. So we're gonna change this. All right, we're just gonna slide this point down here. I'm gonna slide this one down because I really don't need this giant thing, right? I just need a small block, a small wall to just make the ball sit above the flipper. And what I'm doing is I'm just moving it to the line looks like it's straight. And this doesn't need to be perfect, right? It just needs to be enough that it looks right. And that might be still too big. Okay, I'm just gonna try this for now. So I'm gonna put this right about here. I think that's where it might belong. So I'm gonna plunge a ball. So it's a little bit high, and now I'm looking at it, the plunger sticking out a little bit. But as you can see, when I move the plunger out of the way, the ball doesn't dip down how it was before. So the wall is just The wall is working. It's just a little bit too high. The plunger is also a little bit too high. So, and that's what I always try and avoid. So now I'm playing the undo, game here because I accidentally moved another piece there. I don't know. It looked like I moved the apron. I'm actually just gonna fix this in place because it's kind of bothering me. I'm getting really lucky right now that I'm clicking the move points perfectly and I'm not touching something else. I just want to kind of get this right so you guys can see it. You could also, oh, there it goes. You can also take another table that has this wall built correctly and just copy it and paste it right in and not have to go through this madness that I'm going through where everything is fucking moving. And this is why I tell you guys not to click stuff on screen like that because it just becomes a nightmare. Okay, I don't need to really move it any further because this is all I wanted to do. Okay, so now something is blocking the ball from coming out. So I'm just going to move it down some more, move it to the right a little bit, and let's see what happens now. This is kind of normal until you get it working right. So now you can see that it's still kind of like the ball's still kind of moving down into the shooter lane. So now I'm going to move it up. Let's see what happens now. Little tiny adjustments with the arrow keys. Much better. Now, if you don't want it to rock back and forth like that, I just need to fix that plunger just a little bit. If you don't want it to rock back and forth too much like that, all you need to do, I don't know why it keeps doing that. I fix one thing and something else breaks. You could just change that little dip that's there. So I think you get the idea. Now the plunger's not reaching the ball. So now I gotta fix that, move the plunger back up. So the problem here that I'm having is not so much that the plunger was in the way. It's probably more of a situation where I had two objects selected. It's probably that dip is a little bit too deep. But as you can see, at least you can see that that bounciness is definitely a lot better. The plunger stuff is obviously acting up, and I think I know what it is. I think it's the left the left top axis point, or whatever you want to call it, is a little bit too high and keeps blocking. So it's just the shape of the wall. I mean, if I sat here for 20 minutes adjusting the shape of the wall and didn't try and rush through it, it would look a lot better. But the point is that that's how you make that kind of stop, right? That's how you make the plunger look a little bit better if you're using an analog one. And that's how you make the gates, bounce back and forth the way they should, for a solid state or an EM type error game like this. So now, just going to quickly move on to the next thing. I don't want to take too much time focusing on one aspect. I think I spent kind of a little bit too much time focusing on that, but I wanted to show that it actually does work. The next thing I want to do is mess with this kick out, because the kickouts are kind of really important, especially if you want to simulate like a bad kick out or a weak kick out or overpowered kick out. This is how you would do it. So this is the center one that's kind of shooting, to the left of this pop bumper, which I know that the one I played shot pretty much straight down, maybe a little bit to the right. So when you select it, you'll see the name Kicker 1. Now we're going to go into the script. I'm going to do Control F. I'm going to do Kicker 1. All right, we're going to search for that. And you're going to see something like this, where it's saying initialize the saucer, and then you'll see the object name in the script right here. And what the three numbers represent is this is the actual switch that is interacting with the ROM, right? So when something interacts with that object, it sends a fake signal to switch 22, and in the ROM or logic board that's being emulated, whatever you want to call it, 22 is saying you're a kicker, kick the ball back out, and it's using these parameters here on how it's going to kick the ball back out. So the second number represents the direction that it's kicking it out. And I believe the third number is the power. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty certain that that's the power that it's kicking it out at. So we're going to dramatically change this. So right now it's at 191. Right, I'm just going to set a comment here so I can remember that it was at 191. Right, a comment is just a single quote, and then whatever behind it is ignored. Okay, and it shows up in green, so you know it's a comment. So I'm going to change this to something kind of drastic, like 240. All right, we're going to pray that this thing, when I launch this ball, is going to hopefully go into that. Now look at how it's going now. All right, and it's going to pretty much be stuck in that infinite loop. And I'm actually going to turn down the volume of my actual speakers here because it's kind of annoying, and I know it's coming up on the mic, so just bear with me for a second. I usually do this. I forgot to do it this time. Okay. So now at least you guys won't hear that. So we're at 191. We raised it to 240, and it went even further to the left, right? So that kind of gives us a generalization of which way to go, right? So we want it to go more towards the right. 191 was a little bit to the left. 240 was extremely to the left. So let's start at like 180, right? Let's click play. I really got to fix this plunger. Sometimes it's reaching the balls, other times it's not. Okay, hold on a minute. Just to make my life a little bit easier, that thing's going away. Okay, so now, so you see what the wall does, right? So now our plunge is going to be a little bit weaker because the ball is going all the way down there. But as you can see, it went, right onto the pop bumper. So now, what could I do to make it play a little bit more like it? I just want to do one more launch really quick to make sure that it's going. Yeah, so it's going like pretty much right down. I want to send a little tiny bit more. So let's say 178. And maybe I want it to go a little bit slower. So that it kind of like slowly kicks it out. And it lets it roll down and build its momentum. And then the pop bumper generates momentum. Let's see what happens. That was kind of cool. So now, the only thing that's left really is to fix these flippers. We've kind of done this before. I have another video where I'm talking about tuning flippers. And we're going to pretty much kind of do that as quickly as possible because that video goes more in depth with tuning them. So of course in the other video I explained my settings. 25. I'm gonna put this one at probably 0.4 because it's a solid state, so it shouldn't hit the ball as hard as a DMD dot matrix machine. It should be very bouncy. I don't want to have any return strength. Sorry, I do want return strength. I don't want any scatter angle. I want some velocity, and I want the oblique correction set this way. So at least now I have my flipper physics in. And like I said, there's another video that goes completely in depth in that, and I'm putting on some scatter angle so that when it hits things, it scatters the ball. So now the next thing is the physics of there, right? So now the next thing is just changing these angles, right? So that they're not as extreme. And like I said in the last video, you kind of have to do these one at a time usually. And we're gonna go to position, and end angle is at 58. So if I go 45, no, that goes higher. So back to 58. So let's go to maybe 65. That probably looks a little bit better. So I went by 10. So let's do the other one by 10 as well. And let's just kind of wrap this up a little bit. So I don't think it's going to go up. I think it's going to go down. Yep. So it was 302. All right, that might look about right there. Anyway, it's just an idea, right? So let's see. Other than this stupid fucking wall that wasn't working right, everything else is kind of there. So now we're getting some randomness. We're also getting a ball doing rollover. Okay, it's still a little bit too powerful. maybe those slings are a little bit too sensitive, but it looks like it's playing more like a solid state does. That's pretty much the point. And compared to what it was playing like in the beginning, it's playing a hell of a lot different, right? You can still sit here and tweak this out, more and more. One of those rubbers on the arch on the left, I think is a little bit too sensitive. I also think the sling on the left is a little bit too sensitive. Those could be adjusted the same way as the gates. You just figure out which one it is, select it, and then change the elasticity and change. I forgot what the terminology is for. It's like the impact before it triggers it. So that was cool. I actually missed the. I think my flippers are aligned correctly. I actually think they need to go down a little bit more, but I could at least do flipper changes. Like I said, they're a little bit too strong still, but you get the idea. So now, one of the most important things to do is this is something that you do if you've never played a table before. All right, go to YouTube and just look for a gameplay video. You'd be surprised at how many old machines actually show up on this thing. And there you go. This is from Pinball 12, which was like 2 years ago, and there it is. It's still in there. There's a good video of it from this year's Pinball. I'm going to see if I could find it. It might have been only on Twitch. I don't know if they've actually moved it over to YouTube or not. But let's take a look at it. Let's just take a look at this one, because I'm certain it probably plays exactly the same way that it did. Ah, great. So let me find where it is in this final. Okay, so there it is. So, and there's that bouncing back and forth that I was talking about. Now, like I said, the top left sling that's up there probably need a little bit more adjusting. The flippers on my end definitely need to be lowered a little bit more. Now I'm getting an overhead view of it. Let's see what the kick out looks like, because I didn't really notice what the kick out looked like. I'm hoping that he actually shoots back up there. Okay, so hopefully he gets it in the scoop. And as you can see, it's kicking it straight down into the pop bumper. So that's pretty much what I do. If I've never played a machine, I'll watch one of these pop-up videos. Pop-up machines always play really well, and it'll give me an idea of what the physics should look like. And then I just try and mimic it. You know what I mean? I play the game, I look at it, I watch it. How did this respond? How did that react? And start going from there. I mean, there's certain things, there's certain limitations, like how that scoop kind of rejected that shot just now. How it kind of rolled in and it kind of popped out before it could actually trigger the switch. That stuff is really hard to kind of simulate. I haven't really been able to figure out. I've seen some tables that, have more of a chance of missing the up kicker, or the kicker. However, I have not been able to master, exactly how it is that works. Because to me, it looks like just like a regular kicker, and I'm not really seeing any physics settings here. So next time I find a table that does work like that, I'm going to start looking at the at the script to see if maybe they scripted it a little bit different. I think another thing too here that I forgot to mention was that I think there was no sounds for the flippers when I pressed them, like no coil like clicking. Let's just check that really quick. And I'm looking at this key code section. That's always where it is. And I'm just looking for a section that says something about the flipper. Huh. Yeah, I missed it. So I'm going to do a key up search. That's one for the plunger. Spinner, top slingshots, bumper, primitive, targets. A lot of logic in here for the targets. Huh. Not seeing it. Maybe I confused it with another table. That's interesting. Let me see if I can find it one last time here. Let me try flipper. Okay. So the reason why I couldn't find it is because he coded it different. So his example, this person's example is a little bit different. So when the flipper um, is on, when the solenoid is fired, it plays flipper 2. When the solenoid is off, which I'm assuming means you let go of the button, it's going to play the sound flipper. Normally on other tables, and if you go into table sound manager, okay, he does have the sounds here. I don't know if you can hear that, but they're there. Um, if they weren't there, you could always import a sound from another table, like export one from a table that you like the sound, and then import it into this one. Name it something, and then just update the script in that section. Change this to flip and then flip off or something. Who knows? Whatever you want, right? But that's how you would fix it. In another table type, it would be in the key up and key down section. I'm not going to save any of this stuff because I really don't need it. I accidentally just almost deleted my actual table, so I'm going to rename my actual table I spent like an hour doing this stuff on, and I'm going to load that guy up, and you guys could see what my finished product looked like. And to be honest with you, my tinkering is never usually done. Um, I'll usually mess with it, you know, every so often as I learn new things or I find something wrong. So as you can see, I have that wall, and my plunger is like pretty much perfect, right? The ball doesn't move side to side. It didn't have any eject problems. That was just because I was rushing that other one. Um, there's the bouncingness, and see, mine plays a lot better than the demo that I did. Um, maybe my flippers are still probably a little bit too high. I should probably adjust those, but I'll do that off camera. But as you can see, I could do those flipper stops that guy was doing in the pop-up video. So, like I said, it's all about watching a video, getting familiar with tuning the stuff, what to change, how to change it, how to do it in small increments, how to do control changes, and just keep tweaking and tweaking and tweaking slowly and slowly until you get the physics just right, right? Or as close as you can possibly get them. Like I said, I'll probably, and a lot of times I'll write down settings, because I don't know if me changing something is going to make it better or worse, right? Like, for example, changing these flippers right now. Um, I know that they're probably still too high, and that's why some of my shots felt a little off the other day. Um, but I may tune it down a little bit, think it's good, come back in 3 days and be like, oh man, these things aren't playing right. It's always advisable if you've been. My rule of thumb is I don't tune for more than an hour, right? If I'm tuning a table for more than an hour, everything kind of starts to just feel right or wrong, right? There's no in between. It either feels 100% right and a week later feels 100% wrong, or everything feels wrong and then I just back out my changes and start over another day, right? Because, like I said, tuning too long, you start to get fatigued, you start getting frustrated, and then you start just changing things and accepting them for what they are or whatever, and then you end the night and you're like, oh, I spent like 3 hours tuning a table and completely stressed out and wiped out, and that wasn't fun. And then you come back in like 3 days, and you're like, oh yeah, well I tuned this table like a motherfucker the other night, so this table's gonna play great. And then you load it up and it plays like shit, and you're like, wow, this thing plays just as shitty as when I started tuning it. It's because you spent too much time tuning it. Just tune it for an hour, get it to play as best as you can in an hour, save it, give it a rating or something. I usually put like a rating of three stars in my front end, just so I know that, hey, I touched it. Come back in a couple days and play it again and see what it looks like, because you might see things differently in a couple days. It's the same thing as when I was a musician. You don't sit and write a song for hours upon hours upon hours upon hours. You write something, you let it sit, you come back to it in a couple days, you listen to it again. Because if you sit and just hammer away at working on something, your work degrades. It really does. So, uh, not too bad. A little bit under 50 minutes. Hopefully that wasn't too bad. I know it wasn't a perfect example, right? Everything didn't come out perfect, but there was a better example at the end, to kind of demonstrate the changes. So, keep watching the videos, keep tinkering around with stuff, and have a good one.